Hello and welcome to Otten Math. In this edition of Otten Math, we're going to work through a couple problems involving slope and rate of change. All right, so the first question, there are four questions. First question says, find the slope of the line passing through the two given points. Enter the answer as a fraction. All right, so remember that the slope is the change in the y value between 2 points over the change in the x. Remember, if we start with 1 point, this is the point 1, we have to continue with that point as the initial starting place as we subtract the relevant x or y values. All right, so let's take the y value first. I have 3 minus 2, which is going to be 3 minus 2, which is going to be equal to 1, over 4 minus 0, which is going to be equal to 4. Now remember, I can choose point 2 first, but I have to be consistent with both the y values and the x values as I subtract the other point from those. So let's try that, just to show you that, in fact, regardless of which point we start with first, we'll always end up with the same slope. So in this case, I'm going to say 2 minus 3. So now I'm starting with point 2, over 0 minus 4. And I end up with negative 1 over negative 4, which is equal to 1/4, which was my original answer from the first example. What we can't do is mix and match points, starting with one point in the x and then starting with the other point for the change in the y. Let's see what happens if we do that. This is something that you don't want to do. So let's take this point 1, 3 minus 2. So 1 minus 2, or the point 1 minus point 2, over, for the x value, point 2 minus point 1, 0 minus 4. And I end up with 1 over negative 4, which is not the same as the slope for the initial two values we got, and is not the correct answer. So 1/4 is your correct answer. Remember to start and stay with 1 point first as you figure out the changes from one position to the other. Okay, number 2, given the slope, decide whether the line rises, falls, is horizontal, vertical, or none of the above. So remember, if the slope, m is shorthand for slope in math, a lowercase m. If m is equal to 3, we know that the line is rising or moving up and to the right because it's a positive value. So the correct answer is going to be A. Given the slopes of the two lines, determine if the lines, so we're on to number 3, determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So remember, the two changes that we make, or the two differences between two slopes that are perpendicular, one's going to be one value, the other is going to be the opposite reciprocal, if they're perpendicular. If they're parallel, the slope is going to be the same. Okay, so in this case, I have 3 and 1/3. Well, it's the reciprocal. 1/3 is the reciprocal of 3, but it's not the opposite value. They're both positive. It's not parallel because they're not the same slope. So the answer has to be neither. Last question. Given the slopes of two lines, determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Now the slope of one is 7. The slope of the other is negative 2/14. Well, it looks like the signs are different. One's positive and one's negative, so that meets one of our requirements. And then let's see if negative 2/14 is the opposite reciprocal of 1, or 7 over 1. So 7 over 1 is the same as 7. The reciprocal of that value is going to be 1/7. And 2/14 is the same as 1/7. So in fact, they are opposite reciprocals, which means that the answer is going to be B. The slope of the two lines makes them perpendicular to each other.